Welcome back to Something About It. I'm your host, Bree, and this is episode 3. And that rhymed. Should I keep going? Have you guys seen those TikToks? And it's like a guy saying, rhyming until I physically can't anymore, and he hides in his hoodie and just rhymes for 2 minutes straight. That's me to my core. Anyway, happy Wednesday, everybody. By the time you're listening to this, if you're listening on the day it goes live, I will be on a flight to one of my favorite cities in the world. It used to be my favorite, but as I've gotten to see more of the world, as I've gotten older, it still might be my favorite. I don't know if it's number one, but it's still a favorite of mine. New York City. I'm visiting one of my close friends, Sterling. She moved there last year, and my friend Maggie and I are going to visit her. And my friend Maggie has a book club online, and I convinced her to read my number one 6-star favorite book in the whole world, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. And she made that her November book club book, and she's going to interview me for it, which I decided to reread The Nightingale for the sake of the interview. And then I was reading it and genuinely got so sad, because once you know how a book ends, when you read the beginning, you pick up on so much that you just miss because you have no idea what's happening in the story yet. Since rereading The Nightingale, again, I read maybe 50 pages and then I put it down. I'm now convinced that every book pretty much tells you what happens at the end of the book at the beginning. Like, the story literally begins with a woman telling you about her life back in France, but now she's this old woman with cancer, and then you immediately get transported to France in the next scene in the 40s, and it's not the 90s anymore in Oregon. I'm not explaining that very well, but let me also just say that those 50 pages that I reread made me remember this is in fact a 6-star. My rating will never change on that. I think it was written genuinely perfectly. I had no notes. I think it was the most heart-wrenching book I've ever read, and I definitely want to reread it because I recommend it to people literally all the time, but I cannot bring myself to do it because I literally just wept. I got engaged last year, and I literally read the book the week I got engaged. So imagine me in my real life, so happy as can be, and then every time I would read the book, I would literally be so sad, weeping in bed. Such a good book. 10 out of 10 recommend you read it, even though it's a little bit sad. This week's episode is a catching up with you guys type of episode. I had so many different ideas for what to film, and I don't like not having something ready beforehand. Like, I'm filming this and it's literally going live tomorrow, but sometimes that just happens with life. Life has been so busy for me, and so the episode I want is basically like life update, what life has been like lately. I wrote it all down in my notes app, like a little life lately, what I'm learning type of episode. And I just want to give you guys my life updates as we do in every single beginning episode. This week has been really crazy, and it's been a lot emotionally and mentally. I have had, obviously, 2025 truly has been in my personal life the best year of my life. I got to marry the love of my life, and we live in an apartment together, and it's just like everything I ever dreamed of for my future I live in right now. So obviously 2025 has been the greatest year, and I think I've felt so healthy emotionally, mentally, in many capacities. And sometimes things will just trigger your unhealth, and I think that just having a bunch of things on top of each other build up, eventually the house had to crumble and fall. And I've been working so much recently. I've had so much work come through with social media, which typically social media work for me is literally just posting a YouTube video a week. And brand deal stuff is so inconsistent. Like, there's weeks that there's multiple, and then weeks and months that there's nothing. So I try not to rely on that. I do love when I get a brand deal opportunity, because I think it's really fun to work with brands that I genuinely use and love, and then getting to share that with my audience. But it's so inconsistent that for me to grow on social media and to be able to make this my full-time living, which it is, but in order to contribute financially, I have really just focused and honed in on YouTube because I've seen the most success over there, and I honestly have the most fun over there because long form, I actually think the podcast will end up becoming similar to that. Long form content where you're just talking and there's less pressure for it to be, curated is way more easy, way more natural, and you feel way closer to your audience. So that's what I feel like YouTube has become for me. But with that being said, it's really important for me to post every single week because the consistency of posting is part of what makes you successful on any social media platform. I definitely will make an episode on here in the future on how to start a YouTube channel because there's so many things I wish I knew when I started, but I genuinely just didn't know anything, and I just went in for it. And I had incredible friends that are way more successful than me on social media that gave me so many tips. Anytime friends have questions for me regarding YouTube, I feel like I know so much because of those friends that helped me. So it's just a pay it forward with YouTube advice. I will definitely do that in the future, but my life update has been that I've been working so much because after probably like 6 to 8 weeks of no brand deals coming in for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anything, I literally got 5 within the same week, and they were all due within the same timeline of each other, which just feels crazy and intense. And I feel like I still am learning how to brand myself. And it sounds so weird because obviously I'm just a human individual, but it's actually very important that if you post online and your branding is you. For me, it's me, and it's me reading books, and it's this cozy corner of the internet vibe. It's important to stick to your branding. Like, you are a human individual, but online you're more than that when you have a social media following. So I know that sounds really weird, and that's something that I've never understood or known how to navigate until recently. I feel like now I'm learning to. So in the past, brand deals have been really hard for me because I don't know how to naturally integrate an ad when I already just feel like I don't know how to post. But we're working on it. We're getting better. And I had so many to do, so I was just really stressed because Meredith, one of my really good friends, came into town literally the day that I had 3 brand deals that were due, and I picked her up, and then we were going to Big Bear the next morning, and it was just intense and a lot. So I had a very busy work week on top of a very busy social week on top of being in my luteal. It was truly the stack on top of the stack on top of the stack. We leave for Big Bear. We have to take 2 cars. I have to take my car because other girls didn't want to take theirs, which was totally fine. I was happy to take my car. However, I, with my autoimmune condition, really struggle to drive sometimes. I don't know if anyone else experiences this with their chronic condition, but sometimes when I'm driving, it just feels like focusing on the road is so straining for my eyes that I genuinely need a break, but that's not possible if you're behind the wheel. So I had a car of Meredith and Lexi and I, so those are the 3 of us, and they were going to drive until we got to the base of the mountain because Big Bear, to get up there, it is literally a windy road that just goes all the way to the top of the mountain. It's kind of terrifying, to be completely honest with you, and I don't know why I didn't feel scared to do that part of the drive. I think it's because it was my car, and I just feel very confident in myself as a driver. I feel very confident that I'm a good enough driver to drive that well, and that I would rather be behind the wheel than someone else be behind the wheel, because at least then I have more control over the situation. So basically, we're driving up. Lexi was supposed to take an exit so that I could start driving to go up the mountain, but she missed that exit, which was our first mistake, because since we missed it, the next turnaround time was 30 minutes up the mountain, and it was a 1-hour drive. So she essentially had to drive halfway up the mountain. The cars were honking at her. It was pitch black. People were so mad that we were driving the speed limit, but if you've ever been to Big Bear, you know that it is literally on the side of the cliff. Like, the freeway, highway, road is on the side of the cliff. You're not going to drive fast. It's stupid to drive fast. So we were just trying to make her feel confident as a driver because all the other cars were being so rude, and she was driving so well and not even slow. She was driving the speed limit, but it was a scary drive. We got there though, and I immediately knew I was sick. I don't know. Sometimes when you have chronic illness, you're just so in tune to your body and to your cues and to your internal being able to just do a self-check moment. And I just knew that when we got there, I was going to be sick the whole trip. And I hate when I feel that feeling because there's really nothing you can do if that's how you feel. I used to get altitude sickness anytime I was in high altitude, and I thought that went away because I didn't experience that in North Carolina last month. I've gone to the mountains in the past and didn't experience it, but boy, I really felt it, like really bad on this trip. My throat was dry the entire time. I slept like 6 hours the first night, 3 hours the second night. I had a headache from the moment we got there till the moment I got down the mountain. And then my cheeks, if you have lupus or you know someone with lupus, one of the symptoms is having something called a butterfly rash. And basically, when your inflammation gets too much, you get this rash on your face and it's shaped on your cheeks like a butterfly rash, and I had it so pigmented both of the days. And I know that my body is signaling to me that a flare-up is coming if I get that rash and I don't do something about it. So even though my car was one of the 2 cars driven up, I desperately had to go back to Linden, Bluey, and my apartment as quickly as possible. So I left my car up there and left literally at sunrise with my friend Sophie, who had to come back for a meeting. And I'm so glad I did that. And something I learned from that is I really need to trust my body and do what's best for me in every situation when it comes to my health. I felt so guilty that I felt sick, and I do a bad job at communicating it sometimes because I feel like it's worse to feel misunderstood than for people to not understand how sick I feel. How do I explain this? I'd rather not emphasize that I feel lupus sick and just say I have a headache or something, because I feel like there's almost more empathy and understanding for something everyone can experience, such as a headache, versus something like lupus that is so rare for multiple people in a friend group to have, that if I say I'm feeling lupus sick, there's no understanding of what that means, versus if I say I have a headache, then it's like, oh dang, we hate headaches. Headaches are the worst. So I need to learn that it's okay if I need to leave things early, that if I don't feel good, I don't have to be understood. I just need to do what's best for me. That is lesson 1 from the Big Bear trip, because I feel like I do a bad job at advocating for myself, but majority of the time I'm with Lyndon, and Lyndon knows when I don't feel good and he will advocate for me. So in group settings, friend hangouts, I don't feel good, he sees my cheeks are getting red, he will say it's time to go home, versus I will not. And it's just a lack of advocating for myself, which is bad. I do want to learn how to do that, but I feel guilty and I feel like I'm letting people down. But I do think the most important person to not let down is yourself when it comes to your health, whether it be physical or mental. You have to show up for yourself, and that's something I'm learning right now. So lesson 1, look out for yourself, not in a selfish way, but you know your body, you know your mental health, you know yourself better than anybody else, and it's doing no one any good if you don't stand up and speak out for yourself. So that was my first lesson of the trip. The second thing, it was such a sweet trip, and I really don't want to rag on how bad I felt the whole time. Like, we had a beautiful time. Celebrating anyone's birthday is so sweet to me because I love celebrating. I love the fact that we as a society decided that birthdays are going to be something that we celebrate every year. When that person gets a year older, it's going to be something that we go, yay, let's make a cake, let's sing to you, and let's make this exciting and not sad that we're getting older. I love that. So I love a fun birthday. I love celebrating people on their birthday. And I think it was so fun to get away from, like our homes and to go up to the mountains for a trip like that. It makes the birthday feel so set apart from just an everyday life experience. So that was really fun. We ate lunch in an igloo, which was really cool. It wasn't like a real igloo. It was like a plastic igloo that they sat us inside because it was cold outside. Kind of ate that up. We took such cute photos by the water because the lighting was perfect. And here's lesson number 2. Obviously, I just told you how sick I felt the whole time. You would never know that based on my Instagram alone. So I think lesson number 2 is a lesson that we all need to remember and think about often. And that is that social media is never what it seems to be. Everything is curated. Even if you follow creators that claim to be authentic, they probably are authentic, and yet you still do not see the shambles of their day. because one, you shouldn't always show everything. I don't think everyone's entitled to your whole life. And two, you can be authentic and still just want to highlight the positive parts of your life. I don't think it would be fun for me, my friends, or any of you if my whole Instagram post was about how sick I felt and all of my headaches and me crying and me not sleeping versus an Instagram post of me with my friends lollygagging at the sunset, which also happened. The two things both happened, and I think that focusing on the good and the sweet and the happy parts overall is better than the negative. So I want you guys to keep that in mind, because I always, anytime I feel sick on a trip and I'm posting from that same trip, I feel this urge to say something like, guys, I also don't feel good, just so you all know. But that's not really the point in what I'm trying to communicate now. The point is just that social media always will miss things. Even if the person is being honest, true, and authentic, there will always be things that get missed or just not shown. Moving on from the Big Bear recap, the next thing I do want to talk about is just a little chronic illness update because of everything that happened last week. So I definitely will do episodes dedicated to lupus, autoimmune disease, all of that stuff in the future. But for this episode, as I'm just kind of talking about my life lately and some things that I'm learning, one thing that I learned on this trip / last week just in general is anytime I feel physically sick, anything emotional on top of that feels a million times worse. So let me explain. I did not feel good, and I know that my personality is different when I don't feel good. I know that 100% Brie, when she's feeling great and amazing, is laughing and silly and more life of the party, not the center of attention, never the center of attention. I never like that, but just more fun, more silly, less carefree. Carefree is the word. Sick Brie is quiet, not really engaging in conversation, and trying so hard to not basically cry when I don't feel good. And I know that I was probably half carefree fun Brie and half sick barely talking Brie. And I hate when I show up to any type of group event and I'm giving sick, not happy Brie, because I know that's not who I am. That's who I am right now in that moment because of sickness, but that's not who I actually am when I'm out in the world. And I hate that my friends, that people don't get to see like the real me, because to me that's not the real me. That's the sick me that is sick right now. And I realized that when I felt sick and I knew I wasn't acting like as happy and carefree as normal, I could tell that people saw that I wasn't being myself and that I was a little less fun than everyone else. And that truly made me spiral so bad, because it's hard to be perceived in general. Like, that's a weird thing to think about, that when you post on the internet, people are perceiving you. But on the flip side, when you're just with your real life normal friends, they're also perceiving you. And when you know you're being perceived a way that you don't feel is true to you, but there's nothing you can do about it, you just feel stuck, and then you just feel emotionally depleted. That's how I felt, because I wasn't feeling good, and I didn't know how to communicate that other than saying I wasn't feeling good. But I didn't know how to say, like, I'm not feeling good, my lupus is flaring up, and it's making my attitude, my mood, my personality different right now. So sorry about that. So I didn't say that. And do I regret not saying that? Maybe. I really don't know, guys. Anyone with chronic illness understands the spiral you get with friendships sometimes, because you can't show up for a million people. You have to be so particular about who you're close to, and it can be isolating and lonely to feel like you quite literally don't. You do not have the capacity to have a handful of friends most of the time. Most of the time you have the capacity for like 2 or 3. And my 1 is Lyndon, 2 is Haley, who's in Texas. And then it's like, okay, this third slot is for 6 people that are in front of me right now. And I just don't have the capacity for it. And that's when I spiral. So I had a spiral. I really did. And now I'm feeling a lot better. I think I was in the luteal trenches as well. So now that I'm not, I'm feeling a lot better. Feeling like I have friends again. Not spiraling like I was. But the spiral is real. Friendship in your 20s is hard because you are changing so much. thinking of the fact that I'm actually in my 20s, like I am in it. I'm 25. I'm not 21. I'm not 22. Like I'm in the middle of it. My friendships have changed so much. I literally have nightmares about friendship breakups and things that have happened in past friendships that are no longer in my life, because they feel so jarring that like you could be so close to a human being and something could happen or nothing could happen and you just naturally drift apart because of timing, different life circumstances, X, Y, and Z. It's so jarring to share life with someone and then that be like ripped apart from you. In your 20s, you're navigating so much, and friendship is one of the biggest things. One, if you go to college, you're going to be best friends with people in college that once you graduate from college, you may not be close to again, which is crazy, I know, and sad to think about, but it's just the reality. Like, I had friends in college that I was convinced I would raise children with. Like, we would be friends forever, and now that's not the case, and there's no negative feelings on any side. It's just a natural thing that happens as you get older. Your hobbies, your interests, things will change. Like, this version of me now that reads literally all day long and makes little video diaries and is married to my best friend is not the same girl that at 20 years old was getting a degree and thinking I was maybe going to be a teacher or get a master's one day. Like, just a very different version of myself. And all of those versions of you blend together to make up the person you now are, but you're discovering yourself. And I think it's okay for friendships to shift and change, and as you change, they're gonna change, and it's just what it is. So as long as you feel like you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table, and you know what kind of friend and character you have in your friendships, that's kind of as much as you can do, and the rest is up to your friends to show up for you the way you show up for them. And if that's not the case, then there's going to be other people out there that do show up for you. This is a tangent because I just started thinking about all of the past friendships I've had in like the last 5-10 years of my life, and I will give you guys that lore one day. I feel like we need to get closer. This can't be episode 3 of the pod. It has to be deep in there. So we'll get there one day. Don't worry. Also, I got a coffee from my local coffee shop, and then I made my second coffee in the container because I'm sorry, I'm convinced coffee tastes better when it's in a to-go cup and it feels like you spent money on it. So I made an iced half almond milk, half whole milk cappuccino. I put maple vanilla syrup. It's just vanilla bean infused maple syrup, and I put a bunch of ice, and it tastes so good. Next update is I am going to go to New York. You may be wondering, what are you doing there? I want to film one of my ultimate fall book videos, but I don't think it'll be a fall one. It'll just be like the ultimate book video New York City edition. And my friend that lives there is going to take us to the bookstore she loves. I'm going to get coffee. It's just going to be everything that I love about a book video, a book haul, book shopping, everything in one, but in New York City, which is literally my dream location to film any type of reading video in. So I'm so excited for that. I'm going to get all of the coffees ever. And I just love these friends that I'm going to be with, but I never get time with them. They feel like long distance friends, which the New York one is, but Maggie lives in LA, and the hour drive genuinely is long distance. Like, at that point, it's a 3-hour flight for me to get to Austin to see my best friend Haley, and it's a 2-hour round trip to go see Maggie in the car. So even though my friends in LA are way closer than Texas, it's about the same in traveling. So anytime I get time with those friends, I just feel like I genuinely feel my creative cup gets full, my friendship cup gets full, every cup feels filled, and we're nearing the end of the month, so I love feeling just filled up before a new month begins. I also want to talk to you guys about a couple other things. One being, you may be wondering, Brie, what the heck happened to your Patreon? It's closed after 2 weeks. If you're one of those people wondering what happened to your Patreon, yes, it's true, I did close it after 2 weeks. Listen, the fun part about being a creative is you will try a million different things, and a few will stick and many won't. Patreon is that thing for me right now. Just so you all know, everyone that paid got refunded. I made sure of that. But I would love a Patreon in the future, maybe when there's someone working with me that could help me run something like that. But I just felt so guilty having people pay a subscription service for what? For me to host an online book club that I could just do for free, for me to give you city guides that are going to take me a while to produce and maybe I'll post one a month. Like, no, not right now. In the future, I would love to have a Patreon. I think it sounds so fun, but it almost feels like that's a future scale type of thing because right now I feel like the people that are listening to this podcast are already my cozy corner of the internet girly pops. And in the future, if this audience expands, then I'd be happy to have like a close corner circle, which would be the Patreon. But right now, I think that's just everything. And so I do have a book club. It's still the 7-year slip. I'm still doing that for an online book club, but it meets over on my main Instagram, Brianna K, my channel, which is Reading Rats. It's that private DM message, and I'm gonna go live on there 1 to 2 times a month, and we're gonna read a book every month, and it'll be so fun. But I can't make a private channel on my podcast Instagram yet because I don't have 10,000 followers. So eventually when it grows, I will switch over the book club over there because I also use that private channel on my main account to just talk to you guys and show you my coffees and tell you about my day. So it's definitely not the most organized for a book club, but it's so fun over there. Go hang out. That's like the true cozy corner reading rat area, in my opinion. The second thing I want to talk to you guys about is something I will not be sharing much of, probably, but it's something that feels like a podcast topic. If you have known me in real life since I was literally a child, probably in the womb, since I was a kid, I wrote poems, I wrote short stories, and they never went truly anywhere. I just had journals that I would fill with stories, with poems, and my dream was always to write books, but I never thought I would write a fictional book. I always thought it would be like a journal about autoimmune disease, a devotional about my faith in God and Jesus and all that stuff. And I think those things could happen in the future. But now I felt this urge, desire, passion, want, dream to write a fictional book. And ever since I've gotten this itch, I feel like I can't even read fictional books without thinking about my own and starting to think of characters, and it feels like the most daunting thing in the world to bring up, to talk about. I feel embarrassed and shy when I talk about it, and I don't get that way with anything else in my life but this, because it feels like the nearest and dearest to my heart more than anything else, and it feels like if you were to rip me open, that's what you would see. I haven't really written much. The only time I write is when I'm on an airplane because it makes me feel the most nostalgic for life, and then I just feel like I have a story to tell. But I feel there's just such a lack of experience with writing fiction that I feel too scared to even touch it. And it feels like when I'm not an artist. So for me, it feels like I can picture a painting that I want to draw or paint in my head, but then once you give me paper and paint, I can't actually make it happen. That's how I feel about writing, even though I don't think that's true for writing with me. I feel like I know the story I want to tell, but I don't know how to format it, that it feels like it would just be a bad painting if I did it, which I don't think is actually true. It's just my fear talking. I don't want fear to be the voice that stops me from doing the thing I've dreamed of doing since I was a child. So I'm telling you guys this because I don't know what the journey will be like, but when I give you reading updates over here on like books and stuff, I will slip in some book updates of my own. All I know is I want to write a fictional book where the main character has chronic illness, which, obviously I would do that, but I just wish that there was more representation of chronic illness in fictional romance novels. And the only time I've ever read about a chronic condition in a book that felt so true to what it actually feels like to be sick is in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I can't think of the author's name, and that book was insane and not a romance novel in the slightest. It was probably every trigger warning that you could think of for a book, that book probably had. But the main character suffers from, I can't even remember the story very well, but the main character suffers from a chronic condition, and he talks about how it feels like he is almost in a prison in his body. And I cried when I read this because it felt so true to what it feels like at times to be sick in your body, and how foreign it can feel to be living in your own body. And I would just love a sweet romance novel that had representation of chronic condition, chronic illness. Yeah. So again, I don't know when that will happen. I'm too scared to actually do it, but I want to have a place that I talk about it every once in a while, and I think that'll be over here on Something About It. Reading update. I've only read like 2 books this month, which is really bad, but I'm not kidding. It has been such a crazy month, like insane. I've been so busy, and last month I read the most books I've ever read in a month, which I believe were 11 or 12, and that was insane. Reading like that is genuinely so fun because I feel like you just get in a habit of it and you just can't stop. I definitely want to do some sort of reading wrap up, and maybe I'll do that for every book of 2025. That would be literally a 3-hour long episode though. I do want to say my favorite book, or maybe, yeah, I think it is my favorite. My favorite book that I read last month was The Other Side of Now by Paige Harbison. Oh my gosh. You need to read this book. It feels so underhyped right now on Goodreads. There's only like 9,000 ratings, which is still so many, like 9,000 people that rated a book. That's insane. But you guys need to read this book. It's a literary fiction. You follow a woman named Meg, and she's this famous actress in LA, and she also has a famous, like, she's a influencer basically on social media as well, and she's dating a Marvel movie actor. She lives in his house, but she's so unsatisfied by her life, and she's done all this plastic surgery on her face. Her TV producer people are saying she has to lose more weight, and she decides to book a trip to Ireland to just escape Hollywood for a little bit. When she gets on this plane, she somehow enters an alternate reality where her best friend, who in real reality in LA passed away when they were in high school, is still alive in this alternate reality in Ireland, but they're not on speaking terms. So you're trying to figure out what happened, that she's alive, obviously, but they're not talking. Like, what's going on there? And she has her old nose back. Like, her nose surgery goes away. Her plastic surgery's gone. She has 15 more pounds on her body, but she's just healthy. She's happier there, and she's trying to figure out what happened. And there's just so much self-discovery that happens. There is a beautiful romance that brews. I love the setting of Ireland and LA. I thought the humor was amazing and witty, and I love the platonic best friendship love that you see. 5 stars across the board. I gave it a 4.75 because I didn't have that like 5-star feeling in my gut, but there was nothing I would change about the book. I loved her. There was like one spice scene for those that care. That could be a really fun book to do for my online book club for next month. So I might do that either December or January, because December might be fun to do a Christmas one, and then that could be a good January book. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So maybe don't read it yet until January. I think this is where I'm going to wrap up the episode. For the rest of the day, I'm going to pack for New York. I'm going to plan out outfits because I do not check bags. It's something I hate doing. I love just a carry-on and a backpack. So I'm going to put some outfits together, and then we're getting dinner with our friends Haley and Devin. They're going to cook for us, and I just love when a friendship comes out of truly nowhere. My friend Sage introduced Haley and I at a coffee shop randomly, and now we go to Pilates together like once every couple weeks. And those type of out of nowhere friendships for me always are my favorite, because you didn't expect anything from it, and then you just feel a tug of closeness to this person. I love it. But we're double dating dinner tonight, which is going to be super fun. We're going to sleep at my parents' house in LA tonight, and then I have an early flight tomorrow. So I will talk to you guys next week. Before I sign off, I encourage you to go follow the podcast Instagram. It's somethingaboutit.pod. And I'm going to give you guys a real life photo dump from the last week of my life. The good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, the sweet, the salty, everything. And I want there to be like a train of gratitude in the comment section. So my caption will be something like, comment something down below that filled your cup. And for me, I will answer that as well over there. But something that has filled my cup today was I went to Pilates with Haley this morning, and that's where our dinner plans came from. When the random surprise friend hangouts happen, those fill my cup like nothing else. I love it so much. And I am signing off now. I love you guys. I'll see you somewhere else on the internet anytime you want to see me.